Hello, ma'am. Good day. We are the fourth group from BSEd Science 3C, and we are here to share our observation and experiences during our stay in Abidjan National School. So, a short recap of what our group has previously discussed on observation in the classroom and the teaching learning process. Previously, it was Mr. Servalius who has mentioned that the method of instruction was usually through a teacher-centered approach, and it is more on the discussion itself with less to no activities or collaborative activities with the students. So there was also a mixed method in teaching, which was mostly the chalk talk method and minimal integration of technology. Sometimes the objectives are also not clearly stated at the start of the class, and another thing was the usual sitting arrangement of some students, and which makes them become more prone to talking with other classmates, and the lack of concentration of the learners due to these external factors such as noise and temperature in the specific classroom. Aside from that is the teacher somehow establishes a very concrete classroom management, hand rules, and other things that help her addresses the unruly behavior of the students. And aside from that, the teacher also make use of their real life scenarios or analogies in her teaching process to help the students understand the certain topic much deeper. Now, what have we learned from this observation? So, first is that the physical environment of the classroom and the amount of collaboration from provided activities impacts the students' performance. So, a conducive learning environment promotes the positive attitudes and engagement of students, particularly in their ability to learn on that specific topic. So, as we observed, there were several factors that can potentially disrupt the learning, and this includes the external noise surrounding the classroom. So, for a scenario, what happened was that when our cooperative teacher was discussing, in the other section was just beside our classroom. They had activities where they make their voices loud. So the attention of the students suddenly they move their heads onto the sides, and when our cooperative teacher notices it, what she did was that she raises her voice, not the one that is na kanang grabe na kataas kana lang, iya lang make her voice much louder, and then she would walk down the columns as well. And at the same time, kung makakatch up na siya sa uban ng mga students, is that she will integrate those real life examples or like um, anything that can gain that student's attention, and with that kay mo to learn na somehow technique, and whenever we somehow encounter that kind of particular problem in the future. And we believe now with a strong positive learning environment, learners become more inclined to focus on the topic and activities provided to them, and more importantly is that it can help enrich not just the learning but also the teaching process, and can help improve the academic performance of the learners. And also is that the activities give the students the opportunity to work and collaborate together. As we have observed, there was no to less collaborative works or activities that was somehow given to the students. So I believe that if there are collaborative activities, then this can help the students like develop their higher order level of thinking, their communication skills, and other skills that is crucial in the 21st century learning. And modifying also the physical environment and initiating activities in the classroom can gradually maximize the learning opportunities for the students. Next is that students are more likely to be motivated depending on the execution of a certain teaching method from the teacher. So incorporating various activities that make use of more senses can help learning to be more meaningful and help them remember for a long time. And with that, integrating innovative teaching strategies in a way that will encourage the students to develop their desire for learning. So for example, we have a scenario like considering na science as abstract and challenging concepts. Like it is much easier for like the students, specifically our designated grade level was grade 7. So the grade 7 students, it can help them understand if we make use of analogies and at the same time like real life examples to illustrate the point. So through this, the grade 7 students become more interested to learn, and it can help them clarify and at the same time overcome misconceptions. Another thing is that it can also give the students ways to visualize these abstract concepts. And lastly is making use of proper available teaching aids and instructional materials in the classroom with integration of educational technology can help them engage in the lesson. Next is to huddle every after teaching demonstration with the mentor taught what skills we have to work on and needs improvement, and the attitudes and skills that we must continue. So for this is that we need to reflect continuously on our teaching styles and be ready to make changes. One thing that we have learned from our cooperative teacher is that we should be like adaptive and flexible on what can happen inside the classroom. And then one goal lang jud or one aim is that to make every day or every single second, like meaningful or productive for the students. Like dapat na sila learn on a particular na day. They should like go home with knowledge and the with everything that we have taught to them. And also kanang we tend to learn how to accept positive and negative feedback during our teaching demonstration. It can somehow help us like improve the areas that we need to work on in the future. And knowing what and how to change this requires us to examine relevant information on our own teaching effectiveness. And lastly is to articulate learning objectives so that the students will be guided on what to expect in class sessions. So what we have observed was there was no, or sometimes it was not clearly stated, the learning objective. So somehow being clear about our expectations and communicating this can help the students demonstrate the knowledge and skills by the end of the lesson. So it can somehow give the students a heads up on what we are gonna teach them and what they should do on that particular lesson. So with this, it gives the students the target aim and help them learn more and perform better. And as for the teacher as well, okay, it can help us somehow remind us on our learning objectives on that particular day, like how we are able to prioritize the knowledge and skills that we chose to focus on.
Next are some of the approaches, principles, theories, and concepts observed. First is the teacher-centered approach. Since most of the time, the teacher is the one who will do the talking in front of the class while the students are listening from their seats, and this happens for the entire class period. Second is the chalk talk method. So when the teacher is having a discussion, she is going to write or draw into the board of something that supports her discussion, and this is for the students to have a visualization of what she was talking about. Third is the inquiry approach, wherein the teacher constantly asks questions to the students for them to come up to the main concept, instead of spoon-feeding them with the key points. An example would be when the teacher taught about a wave. So instead of telling the students directly of what is the definition of a wave, the teacher asked questions to the students such as, "Kakita na mo og wave, class? How can you describe its movement?" Until such time that the students came up with the definition that the wave is a back and forth motion. Fourth is the behavioral modification theory by B.F. Skinner and Albert Bandura. So there was a time na nagklase, na ay student na nagtanaw-tanaw sa gawas through the window while eating. When the teacher caught her, she called her attention up and told her that she will be the one to answer the first problem solving on the board. This act of the teacher is a form of reinforcement or punishment to come up with a positive outcome, which is letting the student learn, and at the same time, makaremember ang student na dili to niya ang buhaton og usab, because it is a form of disrespect towards the teacher. Next is the repetition technique. This is when the teacher let the student state an important concept repeatedly in unison. Nya, bali-balihon sa din siya sa teacher ang situation para matiman-an siya sa student. For an example, moana dayon ang teacher, unsa ganito class, the higher the amplitude, the brighter the light. The lower the amplitude, the dimmer the light. Nya, ibalik-balik na siya og state sa students together so that they will remember it. Lastly is the demonstration method, wherein the teacher demonstrates something so that the students will have a better grasp of an abstract concept. Just like when the teacher used a rope and a slinky toy to demonstrate the differences between the propagation of mechanical waves, which are transverse and longitudinal waves. It was nice kay hasta ako nga nagtanaw kay mas nakasabot jud ko kung unsa jud ang differences between the propagation of those two mechanical waves. So for the reflection, with the overall analysis and deeper self-evaluation through the entire class observation, we were able to meet different students with different personalities and was able to understand that not all of them learn in the same way and in the same pace. Others tend to frequently ask questions to finally absorb the knowledge, while some learn easily. There are also students whose behaviors need to be worked out and have it changed, and it is not easy as we normally think. There are a lot of ways to discipline students in a professional way while avoiding the class to not be disturbed. Moreover, teaching requires adapting, so we have to be ready to make changes in the teaching strategies and approaches to be used, highlighting the learner-centered approach for the 21st century students, such as the integration of technology to class discussions. It also helped the students to feel like they are part of the inclusive teaching and learning process. With that, we have pondered that the teaching profession is an opportunity to influence people in a good way, to touch students' lives, instill lessons and essential values that could help them, help mold students become better versions of themselves, as well as creating future leaders of the nation.
For the drawings or illustrations, we have actually to combine it into one. First is the ripple effect, where it shows that a tiny droplet could make an impact on the surface of the water, same as the effort of the teacher. Because as far as I observed during my observation in Abeliana, the teacher doesn't just have to deal with the students and their behavior. They have also to deal with the parents, with their colleagues, and with their supervisors as well, specifically the principal in their school. And then, it is true that one of the most noblest profession that we ever witness is education, or teaching the children. You are not just teaching the children, you are also molding them into who they want to be in the future, into someone their past self always dreamed of. And second one being cycle, or mga gatuyok-tuyok sa gatuyok sa kanang ripple nga naa sa tubig colored nga arrow. So when it comes to cycle, it may perceive to some as kind of repetition kay balik-balik ang hinudluan, balik-balik ang style, but it actually refers to the consistency. Despite of the advancement of technology and the flexibility of blended learning, the teachers must be also consistent of what is the objective, why they are teaching, and what is the purpose of why they have to educate that students, and that is to feign ignorance that was instilled in their minds as of now, and at the same time molding them into who they want to be someday, who their past self would be proud of them, and to the future self would be expressing their gratitude to. That will be all, and thank you.